Thank you, Hannes. Thank you, Stanislav. Well, it's been a pretty full day, and Stanislav has set out very articulately a lot of the achievements and the challenges for the future. And I think I'll just say a few words briefly to add to those conclusions. Let me start on the achievements side. Now, I'm not going to echo everything that Stanislav said, although I do agree with it. But in a short version, I would say, the most formative book I read all last year, which I'm sure is available in Tallinn airport, is Hans Rösling's book on factfulness. And what I learned from that is that when you look back, you can really be surprised at how much has actually happened and how much positive change has happened. And I believe that when we look back, and more importantly, you believe, because it's what you've been saying for the last day, what the achievements are of the Eastern Partnership. And I really thank all of you, both among the speakers, the moderators, and the audience, for your very strong engagement, which I think has brought to the fore that you see such a strong dialogue on the Eastern Partnership. That's so important, because, of course, those who've said that the progress is not linear are right. But progress there has been, and we have shown that throughout the discussions today. And I think I was in this very city in the very first mission I did in this job just over 3 years ago. And even in those short 3 years, never mind the 10 years, we've seen visa liberalization for Georgia and for Ukraine, a new agenda set, the 20 deliverables for 2020, by all 6 Eastern Partnership and all 28 member states. And that at a time when the member states are struggling on so many issues, they've managed to agree on a clear agenda on the Eastern Partnership. And I think what was important at the heart of that agenda remains true also looking forward. And many of you have said it. It's about the tangible benefits for citizens. And we've talked about it from the point of view of the economy, from connectivity, from people to people, and from governance. And sure, it's not linear. And many have talked about, in particular, the opportunity people have had to meet, the 30,000 Erasmus students, the 10,000 SMEs that are already actively engaged in cooperation through the Eastern Partnership. And definitely challenges remain. And I think it was really important that we had 2 parallel panels on 2 of the biggest issues that face not just the Eastern Partnership, as we've heard, but also countries in the European Union: corruption and media domination. And, those of you who have talked about communication, I agree, it's difficult to get across. It's my daily job to talk about the AA, DCFTA, the visa liberalization, and I really liked what Johannes said earlier in the day about it's the path towards the future that you choose. And actually, it's also how we communicate, because in those same 10 years, I could have said that what caught the eyes of my family and friends back home was Georgia beat Spain at football. They got an award. A Georgian footballer got a FIFA award for human rights. Both first Azerbaijan and then Ukraine won the Eurovision Song Contest. And a Belarusian writer won the Nobel Prize for Literature. I mean, these are really powerful stories that are happening every day and that matter. Also, they tell me that Tbilisi is second only to Berlin for clubbing, but I wouldn't know anything about that. But definitely challenges still remain. But when we look to the future, the first thing we need is leadership. And I agree with those who've called strongly here, Dirk, Irma, and others, that in the European elections that are about to happen, it's so important that the forces, whatever party, that are pro-European, come out on top. Because this is the choice, the path to the future that Johannes set. This is the choice that citizens, not just in the Eastern Partnership, but in the European Union today to face, and which is so important, I believe, for for this common European space. And I liked what the Armenian minister said. He said, rather than arguing on the margin about perspectives and memberships and words that many citizens don't even know the subtleties that we're trying to explain, there is a common European space, a common cultural European space, and we're all part of that. And I think that the Eastern Partnership makes a major contribution to underline that is a common space. And the second word I believe is really important is transformation. And I think it's great that we're here in Estonia who's shown leadership in transformation. And among almost half the member states who've actually been through this process of transformation, you have the best stories to share. And I have the privilege of working with many of you. And it's that exchange of experience. And I'm also director for TAIEX and Twinning. And I think the reason they work so well is it's an exchange between peers. It's not consultants, it's not lessons, it's swapping ideas, countries facing the same problems, how to tackle them. And we can learn from the Eastern partners as they can also learn from us. And lastly, I fully agree with those who've said that what we need looking beyond is a vision, we need clear goals, and we need definitely the financing to back it. And with that, the bilateral, I admire those who've set out a vision, the roadmap to the EU, for example, that say we want to go this way. Because first and foremost, as Irma said also, it's for the citizens of these countries to make their choice on the path to the future. And I'd like to conclude by thanking Estonia, which has shown leadership, transformation and vision, and through its center, and blessed us with the presence of its prime ministers and many of its leading people, and keeps the dialogue alive. So thank you very much for the privilege of concluding on this seminar. It's been a great experience, and I know the debate will go on long into the future of the Eastern Partnership. Thank you very much.